Hi everybody and welcome to another video of Power BI for Sports. Today we're going to go through how to integrate both max speed and the percentage of the player max speed into one graph. So what we're seeing right now is a graph of a training session where I have all of my players and the high speed, the max speed that they have achieved. And it also shows the percentage of max speed that speed represents. So for this player right here, he achieved a maximum speed of 27.4 kilometers per hour in this session, and that represents 79% of his personal max speed. So this way you can not only view what max speed the players achieved during the session, but you can actually see what that represents in relation to his own personal max value. So it's not always going to be the same, you know, some players might show quite high speeds and in terms of absolute values, but some players that show a lower high speed in absolute values actually represent quite a high speed in terms of the percentage of their own max value. So stay tuned, I'm going to show you step by step how to create this report. So what I have here is my StatSports GPS CSV export. So this is the export from my GPS session where I have included the columns of session date, player name, the drill title, and the selection of metrics that I am selecting for my reports. Importantly is that with the StatSports software, you can export player max speed as a CSV. So you can export it like it was any other metric and you can have it on your report. So what I have here is the player max speed, which is the player highest speed, which is set in his individual profile. And I also have the max speed metric that corresponds to the max speed that this player achieved during the session. So this is the information that I'm going to import into my Power BI database. So what you can see here is that I have my just a normal graph with my players and the max speed that they achieved in this session. So you can see this player achieved 27, some are doing 26, 25. But what I do want to see is the percentage of the max speed that they achieved in the session. So I know that this player achieved 27, but what does that imply in terms of his own max speed? Is that close to his maximum speed? Is that not even close? What exact number of percentage of the max speed is this showing me? So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new column that is going to display the percentage of max speed that the player achieved in the session. So the first thing we have to do is come to our data section of our Power BI dashboard. And we're going to create a new column. Firstly, you can name that column whatever you want. I'm going to just call it percentage of max speed. And we're going to create a very simple calculation, which is simply max speed. This one here, so you'll see that you can find it under, first it's going to show you the name of the table, speed report max speed, which is this name of this table here. And then in brackets, you'll see the name of the metric. So I'm just going to select max speed, and I'm going to divide that between the player max speed and close brackets. So I hit enter, and that is going to calculate that new column right here on the end of the percentage of max speed. So the only thing I have to do now is to select the top of this column and change the format and make it look like a percentage. So I'm just going to show you different ways now that you can visualize that data in your Power BI dashboard. So one of the ways would be to just drag across. So as you can see, that new column is just, you're going to find it here on your fields. You can just drag that across to your graph and just look at your data, just generally look at it as a percentage. So you can just see, instead of looking at the absolute value of the max speed, you can see the percentage of max speed that you achieved on your graph. Another option that you can do is to input both max speed and percentage max speed into your graph and put your max speed under the column value and put your percentage max speed under your line value. So this is obviously using the line and stack column chart. And we can be a little bit clever with this. So we can come here and turn on the data labels scroll down and customize series and turn them off for my max speed so that you're only showing labels for your percentage of max speed. And then you can go back and under shapes you can reduce the stroke width to 0, and that's going to disappear the line, but it's going to keep the data label of that line value, so you can have only the percentage indicator of that max speed that he achieved. And actually I'm just going to go back to my data labels, and I can even just turn it back on for, here we go, turn it back on for max speed, and just put that, say, just put it at the bottom inside base of the chart. So this way you can just have your percentages on the top, and if you're still interested in having a label for the absolute max speed that he achieved, you can have it right here. And finally, one good tip that I can propose is to go back to your shapes and turn on the show marker, which is going to just give us a dot where with the percentage of max speed value. So I think that is really useful, because in this graph here, we actually have all the information we need. We have the absolute value of the max speed achieved. So we know that this player max speed was 27. You have the bar, you have the bar visualization that enables you to look at what players achieve the high speed and the lowest speeds. You have the data label for the percentage, and you can even use the dots to kind of see which players achieve the highest in terms of the percentage of their max speed value. So a player like this one here, he's not amongst the height of the absolute max speed, but you can see that his relative max speed in terms of the percentage of his personal max speed is actually one of the highest, so with 81%. So you can just feel free to play a little bit with this data. You can even, you can even change max speed and the line values. So you can have your percentage as a bar and then your max speed as a line. Feel free to play around with it however you want, and just make it look good and useful, and whatever works for you in your team setting. So all of that looks quite easy, but some of you might be wondering, okay, what if my database looks like something like this, which is just a huge data dump with a lot of data and a lot of sessions, and you don't have your player max speed because maybe you forgot to include it in your export, or you just simply never considered it before. What can you do if in this case? So don't worry, it's actually really easy as well. All you have to do is just create a simple VLOOKUP formula and create a new column in your database. So create a new sheet within your database and just create a simple table with your player names and their max speed. An important thing that you want to do is you have to select the range of this table and give it a name. So in this case, I just gave this name as max speed. That's going to make our VLOOKUP formula work a lot better and a lot easier. So if you just give this table a name and then go back to your data dump, create a new column and call it again just whatever you want, percentage max speed for example. And then we're just going to give it a go at our VLOOKUP formula. So if you type equal VLOOKUP, first it's going to ask us for the value. So the value that we're going to look is going to be the A2, which corresponds to the player name, comma, and then under table array, that's when it becomes useful to name our table, because we can just simply type in max speed, which is the name of the table that we just done before. And then under column index number, we're going to select the number of the column that we're going to import our VLOOKUP. So if you come to this table, you can see that you only have two columns, number 1 and number 2. So we're going to select number 2, which corresponds to player max speed. And finally, we're just going to select false so that it creates an exact match. So simple as that. Now you just have to double click here and drag that all the way to the bottom, and now you can just simply check on that. So 32.1 corresponds to my player 1. You can check that that is correct. And the same with all the rest of your players. You can see that now every player, regardless of your session or how many players you have, it's all going to be doing that cross-reference to the player max speed table. And now you can easily just import this sheet into your Power BI and do exactly the same as I've just shown you before. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you have any questions or any suggestions for another video, feel free to send me a message, either drop a comment here or direct message me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'll be making sure that I answer and create new videos every week. Thanks.